Hello everyone, welcome to Zaref GD. And in this lesson, we are going to see how we can protect our data with encapsulation and properties. So, as you can see, previously I was using sometimes the public method or the public keyword, and sometimes I was using private, and sometimes there was some serialized field. So, in this lesson, we are going to see what it. So let's create the folder. And this one is going to be a lesson 6. And similarly, we are going to have the examples, project, and tasks. And we'll need to create our example scene. So, lesson 6 example. And let's set the main camera to be black. And what scripts are we going to need? So we are going to need a simple player health, speed controller, and a score manager script. So let's create the scripts. So player health. And next we have the speed controller script. Object not created reference speed controller. And finally, our score manager. Hmm, it happens when I'm pretty fast typing, but so as you can see, you didn't see this typing. It was directly created. So I was typing that, and the command was executed in the background. And somewhat there is no issue with any of our code here. It's just an issue with Unity. So let's start by creating the scripts. So let's go inside Visual Studio, and first we'll go through the player health script, and let's put it inside the correct namespace. And this naming convention is correct. Lesson under slash no under slash lesson 6 examples. And where did we use the under slash lesson 5? 555 under slash under slash under slash. It is always better to use single convention. So this is the lesson 5. Let's close all the scripts. I'm going to need the player health. And I need to close. So inside our player health, previously we had public, but currently we are going to have it private. So we'll call it private and current health. And to access this current health, we are going to have public and current health, where inside the get method, we are going to get the current health, and for the set, okay, so we don't need to change it. Private set if current health, private and current health, and max health. Everything's gotten complicated. Let's delete everything. And let's see. First, we are going to have a serialized field for the current health. And then we are going to have a backing field for the current health. So inside the get, it is going to get our current health, and inside the private set, it is going to set the current health to be whatever value we are passing. And similarly, we can have take damage, and as our health can only be set here, as both of them are private, we are going to need the current health values changed here. So currently it is using the property. We could use directly our current health. And if somebody does want to check if our player has died, then they can use the backing property there. Hmm. Now let's go to the speed controller. So similarly, inside our speed controller, it is going to have a field and a backing property and a backing field. So lesson 6 examples. And we forgot to use the test. Maybe we can test it with the update. So update if we are going to press space, then it is going to take damage. Inside the speed controller, let's see. First, we are going to have a private floor speed, and it is going to be 5. And the backing field with the property capital speed. And here we are going to set the speed's value to be the minimum and maximum. Get and set. So first, if the value is less than 0, else if the value is greater than 20. I mean, autocomplete did everything, so I didn't need to do much there. So what it does is it clamps the value between 0 and 20, and that's it, and sets a debug.log warning. And when it is going to move, let's set the speed. Okay, so whatever is set the private value or public value, which is going to be here, it is going to be clamped between 0 and 20. So we are not going to have negative speed or too high speed. Now, finally, let's go to our score manager. So our score manager, similarly, it is going to update the score inside the property. Let's do that. So let's create a namespace. Let me create a private end score. And here I'm not going to use underscore as it is private. Maybe I'll use it. Realize field, the autocomplete. Serialized field, private integer, by default is going to be 0. Public integer, score cannot be less than 0, else our score value is going to be increased, and also we are going to update our score text here. So private tmp text, let's call it score text, and here score text is not equal to null, debug.log warning, score text is not assigned. So it is good to check if anything is null or not. And inside our start, we are going to set our score to be equal to 0. So that should be good for the testing. Now let's go inside Unity. Let's see if we can test all three of those scripts or not. So it can be tested in a simple test script for our player health. Current health is 100. Whenever I hit space, the health is going to decrease. Current health is decreasing, but the player is dying. So what is the issue? Okay. Set. That was the issue. Current health. So instead of the field, we need to use the property. So that's what was creating the problem. Let's hit play. So as you can see, the current health is 0 and the player has died. And again, let's create a UI and text. And doesn't matter, but let's position it at the top and we'll assign it to our score manager inside the test. So at the start, it's directly going to be assigning the value to 0. Even when we just updated, the score is equals to 0. So inside the property, we can call other methods. And I didn't change to Unity. So let's test it again. So as you can see, inside the score manager, it is going to update the score. And whenever I hit play, the player is going to take damage and the player is going to die. And after 0, the health is not going to decrease as previously, as there was an error. And similarly, we need to attach a speed controller. So this is the 5 speed, and suppose let's increase the main camera size to 100, and we are going to attach a mesh filter and a mesh renderer, which is going to have the bluish material. And what is the main camera size? Instead of 100, let's make it 25. And let's hit play. So currently it is going to move at the speed of 5. And in which direction is it moving? Okay. Speed, it is moving in the Z direction. And I won't be able to see the Z direction unless I change the camera angle. So now let's hit play. You should be able to see the player moving in the forward direction. And the maximum speed is currently set at 20. So let's set the speed to be -10. So if the speed is -10, what should happen is it should move in the opposite direction with the speed of 10. It is moving in the opposite direction with the speed of -10. So there's an issue there. So let's go inside the speed controller. Value debug.log warning. Float move. Okay. Inside the start, we need to check the speed. What is going to be an issue? Well, if the speed would have been assigned from somewhere else, then it should have not caused the problem. There is for this scene only. When I'll create a new scene, it is going to go away. So yeah, I mean the translate was not there. The testing was just going to be done with default setup in the start, and the value is going to be changed from there. So it was not going to be set the serialized field. How we are going to test it? So let's go inside Visual Studio and let's see this issue. So instead of capital, I'll rename it to small. And instead of having this as serialized field, we are going to have a serialized field, private float, test speed, and let's make it 5. And inside of start, we are going to set our speed is equal to test speed. So it is going to be stored inside the private variable, but we can have additional functionalities when we access the value or update the value, which we cannot do it. We just directly access the field. So that should work, and we should have the test speed. So if we set the test speed to -10, now it is not going to create that problem where it was moving in the opposite direction. And also it will show us a warning. Speed cannot be negative, setting to 0. And similarly, if we create it to be somewhat like 100, then the speed is going to be clamped at 20. And was there an error? No. Yeah. Speed cannot be set to 20, and for the time, nothing is going to happen, and everything is going to work as intended. And just ignore this error. So that was it for this part, and we'll go to the next part.